Hi everyone, and welcome to Gemini's July 2021 Love Connection reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren. Welcome. So this is one of 3 readings that I do for each sign each month that focuses on different areas of connection. So we have the Love Connection reading, which takes a look at how you connect your unique internal authentic self to others and their unique internal authentic selves. We have the self-connection reading, which is bringing awareness and connection to your unique self. And then we have our spiritual connection reading, which is about taking a look at how you connect your unique internal authentic self with your external environment. Now, all 3 readings are meant to be utilized holistically to take a look and bring awareness to you. Everything on this channel is really focused on helping you answer your very own I am question so that you can state that with confidence and be able to really utilize and live that into and engage with your external environment to be able to find your purpose and place and to experience emotional fulfillment. Now, additionally, all of my readings are going to focus on the 3 principles that make up the Triad of Engagement. And that is a coaching tool I've developed in my practice that utilizes curiosity, courage, and contemplation, and really shows how when you work with the energies of those 3 principles, they can help keep you in your authentic self engaged with not only your external environment, but just so that you stay engaged in general, so that you are aware at any given time behind when you make actions or when you make the decision to take action, when you are interacting with others, and when you are looking to make decisions and to go through periods of growth. So let's get right into your reading, Gemini. We, in this reading, again, are going to be looking at the energy of love. We're going to be looking at your unique self, and we're going to be identifying an overarching theme to be curious about for the month of July, as well as taking a look at any significant person that you are connecting with currently and perhaps need to have some additional insight and information regarding how you interact with that person to be able to really feel in flow with the energy of love, and perhaps areas where you're blocked from either receiving or being able to give love. So the first card we are going to pull here is the kind of greater message for the month surrounding love. This is going to focus on the principle of curiosity. So we are opening ourselves up to being curious to the energy of love and directing that back towards ourselves so that as we bring awareness there, we can start to improve our interpersonal connections with others. Sorry, I think I have a hair on my face. All right, so when we're working with the concept of curiosity, we're working with the underlying principles of optimism, receptivity, openness. And what can happen as we get older is that we stop being receptive and open and we stop bringing this childlike curiosity to life. And when we are tapping into that here or in any of my readings, when we're talking about curiosity, we're trying to break through that kind of protective, negative thinking barrier that we've created where we can get stuck, that can create stagnation, that prevents us from engaging authentically and openly. And it's about where we can try to release some of those kind of negative thought patterns where we fall into saying, been there, done that, not going to try that again, or I'm just this way. or this always happens. It's where we stop being curious in certain areas because we believe falsely that we will be able to predict the outcome. When in reality, the one thing we know for certain in life, and the only thing we know for certain in life, is that nothing is certain, that we're in a state of constant change. So for you, Gemini, 2 cards came out. Now, it's interesting because this is a connection reading, and one of the first cards is, or the first card is stay connected. And it says, you are all born connected to spirit, often known as the divine source. Yet many of us have a tendency to pull away from that connection as we journey through life in the physical world. Now is an important time to reconnect to the source. Beautiful message. And then we have serenity. And it says the most important relationship you can have is with yourself. This is a time to honor, nurture, and love yourself more by seeking out and removing any negative feelings and emotions that are left over from yesterday. Don't let past issues and resentments interfere with your serenity today. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful message. So really what I'm seeing, actually I'm gonna have to stop this for a second. I gotta get this hair off my face. I'll be right back. Sorry guys, thanks for being patient. Okay, so when I'm looking at these 2 cards, right off the bat, the kind of connecting, tie between these 2 is staying connected to spirit and staying connected to self. Now, yourself is always directly connected to spirit. So what this is showing me here is that this is about reconnecting with yourself, but reconnecting from a place that goes beyond what is in the physical world. This is about really going to that place within where there is this connection to source. There is this element of, instead of pulling away and closing yourself off, I love that it says, many of us have a tendency to pull away from this connection as we journey through life in the physical world. Well, that's kind of what happens with the concept of curiosity in general. We pull away from this beautiful, childlike sense of optimism and awe and wonder to the world around us, and as well to ourselves. And as we get older, we tend to get closed off. Instead of looking at life from the lens of curiosity, we look from a place of been there, done that. Don't want to go there again. And this is where stagnation happens. This is also where we lose that beautiful connection to not only ourselves, but to that feeling, that knowledge that we are connected to something greater than just ourself. That we are actually part of spirit, and we are part of the collective experience as well. So I think this month, the overarching theme for love for you, Gemini, is really to get back in touch with that spiritual side to yourself. Be curious and open to where you've pulled yourself away from that. Now, connection to self is where we start before we can connect to others in an authentic way. So when we're talking about the energy of love, yes, it can pertain to romantic love, but there's a higher level of love where it is an energy of divine support, and it's a two-way street. When we feel in flow with the energy of love, that means that we are able to give and receive equally and with balance. And that means that we are not only able to provide support to others, which is our, I'd say, biggest way of being able to express and work with the energy of love in an external way, but we are also open to receiving and being able to recognize support from others. And part of that, when we say others, is spirit, is the otherness that is outside of ourselves. but yet we can connect to it through ourselves. I know it's kind of a strange concept to think about, but there's always this dynamic tension between us as a unique individual and us as part of the greater collective. We each have a piece, so we're each a puzzle piece, but we also have to connect to the puzzle. So again, for you, the overarching message is about where have you blocked yourself off from really feeling this connection to spirit, from being able to see and feel your connection to the greater collective experience. That when you are connecting with others, you're connecting from this place of even down to kind of bringing a sense of belonging, bringing a sense of understanding of this is who I am, and I know through my direct connection, I know its importance in connecting it to others in the greater experience outside of myself. Okay, so we're going to put those aside and we're going to move into taking a look now at the concept of courage. And what we're going to do is we are going to pull cards here around the energy of the person or persons. That is way too many. We'll cut that back a little bit. The person or persons you are currently connecting with. And if there are any areas of blockages or just the energy around your connection with this person, what it's meant to illuminate for you and for them. So when we're thinking about courage, courage is where we get a chance to make the decision to take action on our own behalf, meaning that all actions we take are with awareness of ourself. And this can be difficult when we're thinking about taking action towards somebody else or action that involves somebody else, because oftentimes we can either lose sight of our own authentic self and make a decision more on the other person's behalf than on our own, or what will happen is that we attempt to kind of manipulate other people and their reactions by changing our actions to try to elicit a controlled response from the other person. And where control really comes into play and why it's important is that control for anything external to ourselves is an illusion. The seat of our personal power and control lies within us, lies within our ability to make decisions on our own behalf. But once we make those decisions and we put them out into the external environment, we can no longer control what comes back to us. We cannot control the reaction of others. We cannot control the action of others. This is when we try to convince somebody to do something that they're not willing to do. Or this is where we try to push somebody to do something that they aren't willing to do on their own. Or, where we make the attempt to take action with a very specific reaction in mind, and we won't accept anything less than that specific reaction. Okay, so when we are taking a look at kind of around your relationships this month. So Gemini, the first card that came out is the Two of Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles is a card of juggling. This is a card to me that always represents the day-to-day tasks. This is where we can get kind of caught up in doing, and where we can actually, this is like, for me personally, one of the main places, the main energies where we can lose ourselves the quickest. This is when we get really busy and we kind of feel, even kind of like what you're seeing here, you feel like you're juggling. You feel like you have so many tasks to do every day that you just kind of are trying to get through them. This can also denote a choice that needs to be made between two equal options in the tangible world. That instead of juggling both and kind of getting nowhere with either, to put one down and focus on just one. But what I'm seeing here really is that there's this energy of possible disconnection, kind of showing probably the reason why you're being prompted to be curious about where you have kind of lost connection with self, and where instead you've become so connected to just getting through tasks. And what this can end up looking like is, where at work we are just getting through our email list, getting through, checking off our monthly to-do list, where we barely have time to have that small talk with our coworkers, where we're literally just trying to get through to 5 o'clock and make sure that we've ticked all the boxes, instead of really connecting with what we're doing, bringing that energy of love into all that we do, including even in a place of work. So bringing the energy of love, and that I love my job so much that I want to do the best. So in this moment, when I'm writing this email, I'm writing this email from a place of trying to connect with the person I'm writing it to. Or when I'm, crossing off my to-do list, that with each task, I'm bringing a higher level of awareness. That maybe not only just by completing that task, I've completed it, but by really diving in to see, is there a way I can do it better? Am I just doing the bare minimum, or can I step it up a notch? Again, we're talking about courage and the courage to take action. So if you're coming from a place of love and you truly love what you do, well, this is where you show it. Now, the same thing can be brought into the home life, where you are, again, we all have busy lives. And can be where you're just trying to get through the mundane tasks in your day-to-day home life. This is where you're trying to squeeze in going to the grocery store, cleaning the house, paying your bills, whatever else goes on, taking the kids to soccer practice and making sure that your spouse has X, Y, and Z. And what's coming up with this is the 9 of Pentacles and the 7 of Pentacles. This is all Pentacles. This is all really in your physical world. And I think it's interesting, again, coming back to this very first card that says, again, many of us have a tendency to pull away from that connection as we journey through life in the physical world. And I really think you guys are kind of stuck there. You're really stuck in the physical, in the tasks. And what I'm getting a feeling around this is that in your connections with others, you're really result-based right now. You are looking to get as much done as possible in the physical, and really looking at what is kind of coming back to you or owed to you, and where you can continue to put effort. And you're not connecting on a spiritual and emotional level with these tasks. And when we're thinking about being in relationships with others, that can actually be detrimental, because we are not taking that time to emotionally connect to others in our life. And what this can end up looking like is you being very stressed, you not being able to be that loving, supportive partner, because you're literally just trying to check off the boxes. You're like, I can't sit and, snuggle with you. This is like when your partner comes up and tries to kiss you on the, the cheek, and you're cooking dinner and you're so stressed because you have 10 other things to do, and you're like, oh God, get off me. Why don't you just help with this pot of food? And that can happen at work as well, where when you become so overwhelmed that with these little tasks that you it's like losing sight of the forest through the trees, where you kind of miss the bigger picture of the why behind the tasks that you're doing. And that why is your why. It's the meaning that you assign to those tasks. It's when we come back to the concept of courage and we bring the back to the concept of you deciding to take action, to complete these tasks, to be involved in them. Well, why? Why are you cooking that dinner for your family? Where can you build in meaning and value? Or why have you volunteered to do so when it clearly is not something you enjoy doing? And this is where we have to come back to our own authenticity, come back to what brings us that feeling of serenity, that feeling of connectedness to our true self. If you are not the person that enjoys cooking a meal for your family, but you can provide nourishment in other ways, maybe it's better for you to swing by on your way home from work and grab food from a place that specializes in making food for others. There's a lot of restaurants out there. Or maybe perhaps this is something where you can then give this task to somebody else in your life who might enjoy it more. And this is where we start to really re-engage with our tasks. Re-engage again also with the supportive element of love, where we're not doing the things that don't hold meaning for ourselves, and instead we choose to refocus our energy in the areas that do hold meaning, where we're going to excel, we're going to shine, where we actually are going to be able to show our love through truly being supportive to others because we are doing the task to the best of our ability and probably better than that other person could. And that's how we show support. And then vice versa, we free up that other person to be able to then do tasks that are more appropriate and suited for them. And then we get to receive love and support in that way. So with these two cards, we have the Nine of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles. Now the Nine of Pentacles is a card of feeling, basically being able to enjoy some type of financial or tangible kind of success and independence. In this image, you see a woman and she is in her garden, and it's a very fertile garden. She's looking at all these beautiful grapes she's grown, and she's able to admire and enjoy them. And then we have a card here, which is the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is a card that, and it's funny because I think the other two sign readings I just did also got the seven of something. And I look at the sevens in the tarot as a momentary pause for you to basically check in with spirit around some aspect of your life that you're kind of wondering, is it worth it for me to continue in this area? Or what should I do? I've put in X amount of effort, but I don't know what's within my best interest. And so the Seven of Pentacles here to me really denotes that kind of that checking in with spirit at this point to take a look at what you've been working on to see, is this what I meant to grow? In me juggling all these things day to day, am I actually growing what I'm hoping to reap the benefit of? Is what I'm working on now really going to bring me to this kind of level of secure, tangible independence that I want? And only you can answer that question by checking in with yourself and spirit. If you were planting and putting all your energy into, kind of growing and tending this tree with the anticipation that grapes were going to grow, but instead now you look at it and you realize, well, those aren't grapes, those are blackberries. Well, now you have to think about it. Like, are the blackberries what you really want? Are you able to kind of go with the flow and say, I was expecting grapes, but blackberries are just as good. And when I check in with myself and spirit, I realize, you know what? Actually, I'm probably better off with blackberries than grapes. And I'm going to now focus on learning more about blackberries and continuing to put effort there. Now, if the reverse, when you check in with yourself and you realize, oh my gosh, when I stop for a minute, when I stop the rat race and I put down these 2 pentacles. I stop juggling for a moment and I reconnect with myself in this serene moment of quietness. And I realize, oh my gosh, I've been growing blackberries and I don't like blackberries. In fact, blackberries make me sick when I really think about it. I don't want to keep putting effort towards this blackberry bush, but I can see that now. I can see that because I finally stopped juggling, because I finally stopped just spreading my energy too thin. And I really need to see now what I need to change to be able to get back on track to feeling this level of financial, tangible independence. So there is something around this. When we're looking at connecting this with others, I really think there is this component, Gemini, that perhaps you've been a little too focused on you, which isn't a bad thing. We all have to focus on ourselves. We're only living our lives. We can't live another's life for them. So yes, we do have to come from this selfish place at any given time. But there is this component of we can't be so focused on just doing without that connection, without that emotional connection, because then we end up losing the beauty and the why behind why we're taking action. And we lose that ability to connect with others in a meaningful way. When we're so focused on just creating something here, and not creating something here, that's where we really become disconnected. That's where our interpersonal relationships suffer. So I'm going to go ahead and pull some clarifying cards for each one of these. So I'm going to clarify the 2 of Pentacles to see if we can gain some additional insight here. So what does Gemini need to know about the 2 of Pentacles? What does Gemini need to know about the 2 of Pentacles? Ooh, that was way too many. Let's see. Okay. So I'm kind of go over these and how they came out. So the 2 of Pentacles, we have the Hanged Man. That's the first card that came out. Now the Hanged Man is a beautiful major arcana card in the tarot. It is really where we get to connect with the divine. This is where the divine kind of allows us to have a momentary pause to, just like in this picture, turn ourselves upside down to see what currently is from a new perspective, to be able, a new perspective that's touched and illuminated by our connection to the divine. This is kind of one of those, I'd say, kind of blessed moments where maybe perhaps you get laid off from a job and it seems awful at the time, but it gives you that chance to kind of drop some of these moving pieces to look at your life from a different perspective, for you to be able to see what you've been missing this whole time. Or where you have, you know, a really big fight with your significant other and you guys take a break for a minute, and that allows you to kind of reevaluate. So there is this component of reevaluation going on right now, Gemini, and this could be because of a change of circumstances. It could be that there's something new going on in your life. It could be that there's some aspect that as you're becoming curious and more aware of your connection to self and kind of slowing down and taking a look within, that you realize, okay, well, why am I juggling all of this? What really has meaning for me? Because I think what's going to be illuminated for you is we have the four of Pentacles, so more Pentacles, and then we have the 4 of Swords, the King of Wands, and the 8 of Pentacles. So the 4 of Pentacles is really a card of kind of holding back. This is a card of not kind of being stingy with your resources, or not wanting to invest, whether it's time, energy, money, because for two reasons: that either you don't want to risk the security of what you currently have, or you just, it's coming from a fear-based place of I need to hang on to everything that I can. It's basically, it's keeping you stagnant. And I think what you're looking at, what you're getting a different perspective on, is where you've been holding back from working, where you've been holding back from investing in, I think, yourself, which is interesting here. You know, when we talk about this being a kind of a love connection reading, I think this is kind of a connection with yourself, a connection of love with yourself versus so much, where you're focused with love with other people. This is more about kind of getting back to where have you been holding yourself back from being able to work towards getting yourself to this place of working from a place of passion. So when we're looking at the Two of Pentacles and against the King of Wands, extremely different energy here. Two of Pentacles is somebody who is just at a low level, just doing in the physical world. The King of Wands is somebody who takes action based on his passion. He does not choose to juggle anything that does not first hold some meaning for him from a place of passion. And we have the card of Eight of Pentacles. So the Eight of Pentacles is about kind of doubling down. It's where we move from the Seven of Pentacles and we make that decision to move to the Eight, where this is a card of mastery. This is a card that comes in between these two cards. This is where you realize, okay, this is the adjustment I have to make. This is the hard work I have to put in to master this element so that I can create that level of independence and success and the results that I'm looking for. And in with the mix of this is the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords is another card of kind of a divine pause. It's where you take a pause to reflect on what stories and wounds are yours and what are those of others that can be released. So this is really where we get a chance to kind of stop and look at areas of heartache, of where we've maybe held ourselves back, maybe why we're holding ourselves back in the physical world, based from a place of, on a mental level, we're still replaying the stories of the past. In our mind, we're replaying where we failed. In our mind, we're replaying the negative things somebody has said about us. The times when perhaps a parental figure told us we weren't good enough, or a boss figure, or where in love somebody hurt us. And that's why we hold ourselves back. But what's beautiful is that in the Four of Swords, there's the Three of Swords energy, which is those stories, those wounds of others. And then there's the additional sword now. So now we have the Four Swords, and that one sword is your sword of truth. It's your personal truth. And this is taking that time out to understand what is on others and what is mine. So am I really that failure that my dad told me I was, or does my truth tell me differently? And is that really what's keeping me from investing time and energy towards me becoming the King of Wands, towards me working hard to ensure that I can take inspired action so that I'm no longer just doing. I'm actually working and perfecting something so that I can become this King of Wands. No more juggling. Now it's all about mastery and focus. Okay, so let's get a little bit more information for the Seven of Pentacles and the Nine of Pentacles. So for the Seven of Pentacles, so Seven of Pentacles, we have the Moon. Very interesting. So the Moon is a card that denotes the unknown, a lack of clarity. There's this element with the moon that when we think about walking out in moonlight, we can't quite see clearly. We can see shadows of things, but we almost have to walk on faith, knowing that we can kind of make out something and we think we know what it is. There's also this component about the moon, about kind of being called up by spirit and to continue to get out of your comfort zone. So in the traditional sense, the traditional Rider-Waite tarot card, there's usually a sounds funny, a lobster or some other type of creature coming out of the depths and crawling onto land. And there's this element of being called up by the divine and having to kind of leave your comfort zone, but having to walk that path on faith, because the way forward there's a lack of clarity. So I think for you guys, there's this element here of having a lack of clarity of what you've been working towards and the results you've had, and kind of really being able to have that faith with spirit that even though there may be a lack of clarity, yes, you can continue to work and master something. And you can walk that path on faith. But where you can connect with the beautiful energy around the moon is it's that kind of connection to the zodiac sign of Cancer, where the sign of Cancer is the most intuitive sign. It's the sign that really speaks to being able to be highly connected to self and source spirit. And I think that that's kind of what you're being told to do here, is that in order to get past this lack of clarity and perhaps to have to go a little outside of your comfort zone to really master something that you're working towards, you're going to have to tap into that intuition, and you're going to have to tap into that emotional connection of, okay, I can't just keep doing random tasks. I have to be focused. What am I building? Where am I building? And what am I doing with my resources? And what has meaning for me now? What holds value? When I connect with Source Spirit, what brings me a sense of serenity? So now we're going to take a look at the Nine of Pentacles. Oh, beautiful. We have the Ace of Wands. Let's see if anything else wants to come out here. Any other clarity for the Nine of Pentacles? Anything else for the Nine of Pentacles? Don't think so. I think this Ace of Wands is beautiful all on its own. So for the Nine of Pentacles, when we think about the concept of Nine of Pentacles, it's whatever would make you feel secure. Your vision of feeling independent, feeling like you have a lot to be proud of in the tangible world. And coupled with this, clarifying it, is the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands, such a beautiful energy. So if you think about the King of Wands, he holds the Ace of Wands. And the Ace of Wands is the gift from the divine of your eternal flame. It is your unique passion. Now, it doesn't have to be just one passion. This is the eternal flame this is like the spark of life. This is your soul spark. This is what makes you unique. And this is where the king acts from. He acts with full knowledge of where his passions come from and the importance of acting on their behalf. And so what's really going to help clarify kind of seeing past this murkiness with the moon and where to kind of continue your energy is to really start to take a look at, okay, what is your idea of independence? And how can you incorporate passion and your spark into that? Because financial or tangible independence doesn't just come out of nowhere. And it is specific to you. So for what you feel would be your version of this is what somebody else might look at and go, oh, that'd be terrible. So this is about understanding how your passion will connect to this. That if your version of independence, of feeling this way, is owning your own business, well, then you need to know what to build that business on. Or if this is having your own home and family, then you need to know basically, where is that passion coming from? Is it that beautiful, this can actually denote becoming pregnant. This is kind of that spark of life. Is this something where that's just the thought of having a child is really helping manifest this vision of a successful family life for you? But it's knowing that this has to come from this. That we can't just be completely focused in tangible. We have to be bringing in our passions to step up into that place of mastery. That and I think a lot of us forget this as we get older, but the main push to complete or master something comes from passion. Most people aren't going to master something just for the heck of it. Most people aren't going to waste their time to master something that holds no emotional value or connection to them. Now, I get a little bit of the feeling that perhaps you've been doing that. Perhaps you have been putting a lot of effort towards something, and just now you're coming to that realization of, wow, I really don't care about this. I'm seeing this in a whole new light. I have been working really hard towards something, and in reality that working has not been perfecting something, mastering something, it's just been juggling. And that's a hard thing to accept. That can be a very hard thing. That's like when we realize we've just been treading water. And I know for a fact I've been there myself personally. My personal experience was one where I was in a specific industry for a long period of time in the work world, where towards the end I was just treading water. That industry held no flame for me, or I held no flame for it. The passion was gone. And I was going through the motions, and yet I kept holding myself accountable to trying to master it, to trying to be better, to trying to find areas to make my work environment better. And in reality, it was all coming from this, from a place of just doing because it's what I had always done. And what I had realized when I finally had to come to kind of a full stop, and this is actually when I started to experience health issues because of the level of stress and the level of disconnection. Another thing I've noticed that ties in to people who are disconnected, they go through, basically when you're not tied in emotionally, your emotions find a way to come out. That connection to source spirit is trying always to get you to connect. It's trying always to get you to be aware. And sometimes when we're not being aware and we're so stuck in the physical world and we have no connection to the emotional spiritual world, well, that's when the spiritual world uses your emotions kind of against you. And this is where we can actually manifest physical ailments. And these physical ailments can actually be kind of mystery illnesses. They can be where we feel, just a general malaise or achy, kind of like the fibromyalgia, where we can't quite pinpoint why or where. And it's basically because we are not happy. We've turned ourselves into like robots. What do they call them? Automatons? I don't know. There's some old-fashioned term for kind of like an automatic person. And when that happens, it's spirit trying to say, whoa, 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 you have a place and a purpose. And you're not fulfilling it by just running yourself ragged. And that's when something happens, like you going through a mystery illness where you have to drop the pentacles and actually deal with the mystery illness. Or this is where you get laid off from work. Even though you technically are not happy with the work, you get laid off and you're upset, but later on you look back and realize, gosh, that was the best thing ever because it allowed me to stop the juggling, to be able to see what I actually wanted to move forward with, to see where I was too afraid to make a change based on fear of past stories, of past hurt, of past pain. All right, Gemini, I'm going to pull one additional card for just kind of a closing card of advice to focus on the principle of contemplation. Now, contemplation is an important principle in the Triad of Engagement because it engages us with reflection. It engages us with the concept of self-learning through direct experience. It engages us with the ability to connect the dots between where we choose to take action, what we're curious about, and ultimately the consequences of the actions we take and how we can apply the lessons learned back to ourselves and the future actions that we choose to have courage to take. All right, Gemini, this is a perfect way to end your reading. So the card for contemplation that came out is peace, number 23. And I love this card. I mean, it actually ties in beautifully with the card here of serenity. There's this element of returning to a sense of peace. This person is not at peace juggling. This person is not at peace constantly reevaluating and wondering what they should do. But this person can be at peace in their own garden of success and security. And so I think that's really what you're being told to do here, is to be able to step into this feeling of peace, this feeling of serenity and connection to spirit. It's time to step back a little bit from needing to have so much in the tangible, and from needing to do so much in the tangible, to step back and really realign your actions with your passions and with yourself, so that when you step forward, you are connecting to others through your actions from a true place of authenticity. Because what can happen here is, and what I'm feeling here is that when we get out of alignment with this feeling of peace, this is where we kind of push people away. We push people away unknowingly because we are so focused on this, on connecting with our physical world, on producing a result. So many pentacles here. On producing a result, that we lose sight of the beautiful connections that we can have with others. And that we don't always have to build it alone either. We can bring others into our process. And we can be at peace with who we are and with what we're doing without having to have this crazy show of success. We can simply be at peace as we are building and mastering and eventually working with our passions. This is a beautiful reading, Gemini. I think a lot of you have needed a timeout, maybe are tired. But I think that this is a really great time for you to really have that chance, that pause. So if something has happened that maybe has seemed, and it could have happened last year, it could have happened currently, it could be happening currently, or it could be happening even in the future around the corner, and this is preparing you for that. But it's really about whatever has come and happened, or will happen, or is happening. There's this sense of connecting back to source spirit to understand that it was for a purpose, to be able to see the bigger picture, to be able to emotionally connect to your experience either then, now, or possibly in the future, to bring you back to that place of emotional awareness, to help yourself realize where you've just been doing for the sake of doing versus where you can do for the sake of connecting. And where perhaps you've lost that beautiful connection with others because you haven't been connecting with yourself on an emotional and spiritual level. And so you have not been connecting on an emotional or spiritual level with another. And this is also where we can feel, when you get to this point where you feel like you're cut off from the energy of love, where because what you don't realize is you're not really giving you're not able to give from a place of love when you're juggling like this. And so when you're in this element, you can't receive it either because you've closed yourself off from those spiritual connections with others. So Gemini, this month is really about refocusing on your connection with yourself, understanding that you don't have to do it all. You don't have to fulfill every task. You just have to do the things that have meaning for you. You have to reconnect with your passion. And if you don't know what that is, then that's where connecting with spirit is going to help you see. It's going to help give you, where is that card? It's going to help reignite that eternal flame. All right, Gemini, I hope you guys hope this message has been illuminating. I hope you move into August refreshed, focused, healthy, and ready to connect with others on a level that brings your passion, that brings your flame, so that you can help touch your flame with somebody else's flame. Because the more that we work with our flames, the more we ignite the flames of others and vice versa. And I really hope you can move into that beautiful energy. All right, Gemini, I hope you guys also have a good rest of the day. I hope you check out your other readings because, again, these 3 readings are kind of meant to be a holistic view of yourself, how you connect with others, and how you connect with your external environment. And if you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a private one-on-one coaching session with me, feel free to click on the link below and it'll direct you to my services on my website. All right, bye, Gemini.